Welcome back to Worldview. David A. Love is the executive director of the Witness to Innocent project, and as such, fills the shoes of Sister Helen Prejean. Now, if you don't recognize that name, she was the character Susan Sarandon played in the film Dead Man Walking. And for decades, this group has been focused on trying to help people placed on death row by overzealous prosecutors get the fair hearing and trial they deserved but could not afford. They help victims of the system find their way back to freedom and then re-enter life. Now, David's been on the program before, and the reason I want him on today is that last Friday, the Maryland House of Delegates followed the Maryland Senate in approving a repeal of the death penalty in that state. And Governor Martin O'Malley, a longtime advocate who indeed pushed the legislature to do this, will likely sign it into the law into the next several days. David A. Love, welcome back to Worldview.
Hello, Dennis. It's a pleasure to be with you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. How big an accomplishment is this, and what was your group's role?
I would say that this is a very important accomplishment. Maryland is now the 18th state, will be the 18th state in the United States to abolish the death penalty, as well as the 6th state in 6 years. So we're having roughly one a year. This is proof, further proof, that public opinion is changing. The tide is turning, and people realize that the death penalty does not work. It is barbaric, immoral, stands against international law, and in the case of my organization, we care about the fact that innocent people are executed. My organization, Witness to Innocence, played a very important, very fundamental role in Maryland. Two of our members, Kirk Bloodsworth, was actually instrumental in the repeal effort in Maryland. He was the first person exonerated from death row in the United States through DNA evidence. And he is a Maryland native and was on Maryland's death row. In addition to that, Suja Graham, who was on California's death row and is now a resident of Maryland, was also had a very heavy involvement in the Maryland campaign. Clearly, lawmakers were swayed by the issue of innocence and the fact that we run the risk of sending innocent people to their deaths.
Now, you mentioned that Maryland was, I think that you said it was the 16th state or the 23rd?
18th.
18th, excuse me, state. And in all the reporting I've seen so far, they still say that there's another 8 states or so that need to repeal it in order for there to be enough critical mass for the Supreme Court to consider a test case of the death penalty on the grounds of cruel and inhuman punishment. Can you talk a little bit about the 4 states that are currently very active with measures right now and where you are as an organization towards getting this repealed by a majority that would allow this to happen at the Supreme Court?
Yes, yes. Well, there are a number of states around the country, including Delaware, which last week introduced a measure in their state legislature. There's Montana, there's Colorado. There are a few other states where there's a lot of activity going around, and we're hopeful that there could be some repeal efforts in the near future. The idea is that once you have a critical mass of states, as you mentioned, who repeal the death penalty, the Supreme Court will step in and say, due to evolving standards around the country, you can't have one region or a small number of states that are still adhering to this practice. My assumption is that once we reach that critical mass, you'll still have some states in the South who will probably adhere to the death penalty. And it's interesting to note that Maryland is actually the first Southern state to repeal the death penalty.
That's right.
The first state south of the Mason-Dixon line. Yes. The South is where the lion's share of the executions take place. And I'd imagine certain states like Texas, Alabama will probably go kicking and screaming And it will require the Supreme Court to actually intervene. And something else I'd like to mention, that we're speaking today on the anniversary, the 50th anniversary of Gideon versus Wainwright, a seminal Supreme Court case that essentially said that people who are on trial in a criminal case have a right to representation of counsel. And this actually fits in very well with the issue of the death penalty, because many people who are on death row or who've been convicted, in fact, either had no representation of counsel or inadequate representation of counsel. And that's something that I think we should keep in mind.
Absolutely. We're talking with David A. Love. He's the head of the Witness to Innocence program, and we're on Worldview with Denis Campbell. David, what is the prognosis for future death penalty repeal cases? Which states do you think are the most next likely ones to follow the lead of Maryland and the other states?
Delaware, I think, is the most immediate one. There's activity in Colorado, New Hampshire.
Now, Colorado is surprising. That tends to be it has gone for the president in the last two elections, but it tends to be more of a red state. Can one divide this issue along political lines as to red state, blue state, or is that being perhaps a bit too simplistic?
I think in a general sense, blue states are more open to death penalty repeal.
Yeah.
But what we found is that there are people on both sides of the aisle for and against the death penalty, sure. Which is interesting. I mean, you do find people in the conservative community, people such as Catholics, who are strongly against the death penalty and may have a conservative point of view, but they definitely agree with many progressives who also believe the death penalty is wrong. This is a bipartisan issue, or a nonpartisan issue, if you will. Mm-hmm.
That's really good to hear, because I mean it's one of those issues that you know, because if I were a conservative, I would be thinking in terms of just the costs of keeping a system like this going. It's incredibly expensive, is it not?
It is billions of dollars, and if you care about fiscal responsibility, then death penalty repeal is for you. If the death penalty, you know, if you believe that it should be repealed because of, you know, immorality or what have you, right, then that's fine as well. But it is very expensive, and the public is not getting what they're told they are supposed to get for all of that money that could be spent on many other things.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, David, two stories got my attention this past week when I was looking at the state of crime. There was an investigation into 160 or so bullets shot in a Cleveland car chase. And then there was the other story about that poor man kept on a DWI charge for 2 years without any charge, in solitary confinement, being awarded some $15 million in a settlement. With such abuses across the system, how do you keep yourself focused and moving forward when this is the kind of environment that you seem to be up against?
It is difficult. And what I try to do is I try to remember that all of these issues are interrelated. Even though my focus right now is on the death penalty, I have worked on issues of prison abuse and police misconduct and brutality, and I understand that they really are all part of a system of injustice. And that's one thing that I think everyone has to understand in order for us to really reach people and make them realize that this is something they should be concerned about. If someone is being detained unlawfully, you know, that could be you, that could be your family member. If someone is not receiving adequate counsel, that could be you someday.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, David, I want to thank you for joining us again on Worldview and want to wish you best of luck in this ongoing campaign.
Well, thank you very much, and always a pleasure to talk with you.
Same here. David A. Love is the executive director of the Witness to Innocent Project, and he joined us from Philadelphia via Skype. And coming up next, the Reverend Dr. Brick Menschel joins us to discuss the new Pope's Jesuit order and why the new Pope could be the same as the old Pope. Keep it right here. You're watching Worldview with Denis Campbell.